Hi everyone, it's Handy Val working on my 1992 Mercedes Benz convertible. Today I'm going to be replacing the battery and explain in a step-by-step fashion, including all the steps of putting the battery in, taking the battery out, and also, very importantly, resetting your windows and your radio. This video applies to a 300 SL, but also a 500 SL and a 320. So let's get to it. Right, the battery is located in the trunk. Now, you're going to want to take out all your tools kind of related to sockets and socket sets, because you're not quite sure exactly which tools you're going to need and how tight it's going to be in there. So the battery is located in that corner there, and quite simply what you need to do is remove the carpet cover. Now there is a little screw or a clip at the bottom, and you could kind of see that one there. You're going to want to loosen that up and pull it out. This whole cover would effectively just come off. Okay, exposing the battery. Now you can pull it out as far as you can, and there's the battery. So you're going to what you're going to want to do is, let's get a little closer here. You're first going to want to remove the negative terminal. Okay, now the negative terminal is at the back of the car, and the positive one is near the front. Now obviously there's a positive, there's a negative, so you're going to remove the negative one first. Then what you're going to do is remove the positive, and then there's an actual clip down at the very bottom, and we'll get to that a little later, that holds the battery tight, and we'll get to that as well. So let's get to it. Here you could actually see a little better the actual nut and the battery holder at the bottom there, and we're going to want to disconnect that as well. Okay, that's just a slightly better shot, but let's first get to the negative terminal first. Alright, so we're going to go to the negative terminal. Now it's a 13 millimeter. This is a German car, so obviously they don't believe in inches or anything like that. It's all in millimeters or centimeters. So you're going to want to, this is quite an easy one. You're going to see that you could actually fit it properly, and you're going to want to loosen it and loosen it. Yeah, go as far as you can. I like to go as much as possible. Okay, maybe a little bit of by hand. This seems to be pretty clean. And now you're going to want to try to just lift it up if you can. Now it may be a little bit hard to do. In this case it's a little bit, it's not a, there it goes, it just comes off. Okay, now you're going to want to put this somewhere along the side so you don't get interference with anything else. So maybe I don't want it touching anything, so here's some additional carpet. I'm going to hide it behind the carpet. Okay. Next up, now we're going to want to do the positive. We're going to want to remove the positive. Now, as you could tell, you know, a lot of my tools, very difficult to actually get themselves in. So I'm using this tool here. I mean, sometimes, again, as I said, all tools that you've got, use them. All right, and you can see I'm barely making a dent. It's a little bit painful, but it's kind of working, and hopefully you get to a point where you could loosen it by hand, and there you go. Okay, and now what you're going to want to do, you can see how hard this one is actually embedded in there. You're going to want to jam this out, and there you go, it just comes out. There you go. Okay, now just like this one, you're going to want to put this one on the side somewhere, hide it back there. Okay, now next up is the bracket holding it. Okay, a little hard to film, but you see it. You're going to want to loosen that up and take that out completely. Okay, so obviously I had to create something with all the tools available, so it is still a 13 millimeter, and this type of system would work, but also if you have a type of screwdriver where you could attach the socket, will work just as well. Okay, so you can see I'm going to slide that in there. There's to work. There we go. Okay, we're going to do as much as you can, and then hopefully you could stick your hand in there and loosen it up, as I'm doing right now. Okay, so again, you don't want to, make sure you don't lose anything. So let's have a look in there. So I've removed it, and now we're going to remove the nut, as you can see, and now we're going to remove this bottom metal plate there, and there it is. Okay, it's out. So we've loosened everything, we've taken everything out. The next step right now would be to lift the battery out. Now it's got a couple of arms here, or handles. and we're going to need to pull that out. Now before I do that, because it is a heavy battery, I'm going to move everything out of the way so I can get as much leverage as possible in case I need to drop it on the mat here. Okay, so now it's time to lift. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to push it towards the front of the car, okay, not the back, the front, and that'll be the point of least resistance. And there you go, the battery is now out. I will now move it out of the way and drop it on the floor. As you take the battery out, you're going to want to inspect the battery holder. Now in this case, it actually looks pretty good. A little dusty, certainly, but reasonably good. So you might want to clean it up. Doesn't look like there's any battery acid on this metal plate. You could also replace it. You could order one from Mercedes, but in this case, it actually looks quite good. So I won't be making any changes. I'll just be dropping the new battery in. Yep. All right, so you're going to notice here, here's the drain coming from the fuel tank. Okay, now you're going to want to make sure that this hasn't moved and that it lines up. There's actually a hole at the bottom here where this is supposed to go. Now the other thing I like to do as well, spray it with some rust protectant in and around the area. Never hurts. Okay, so here I am with the rust proofing liquid, and I'm going to spray the bolts. Okay, now there's a little bit of there's a few holes there. You're going to want to get to the bottom of it. Again, these cars are very good when it comes to rust proofing, but while you're here, you might as well, you want to get to the back of it here as well, as much as possible. And spray them. Be liberal. Okay. Alright, so let's get the battery in there. Again, what you're going to want to do is similar to the way you took it out. Okay, now that you've got it in there, I think all you need to do is make sure it's properly settled. Okay, there you go. Okay, so you kind of see that. Now we've got it. Okay, it's properly set up. You're gonna want to take your terminals up. Make sure they're liberal, they're free. So here you go. You've got it now. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is let's get this battery settled in. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the plate to lock the battery in place. Okay, just remember the plate, the way it went. Okay, and that's going to kind of drop in there, and it's going to kind of hook the battery. Okay, so let's have a look on the battery here on the floor. See that? This is kind of going to hook the battery in. Alright, so let's put the bracket back into its proper place. Or as you can see, I've been successful in getting the bracket in. Now the next step is just to get the bolt. Alright, so again, we're just going to want to put this one on, kind of just the way we've taken it off, and let's see if there's a better way of putting this on. So maybe if I connect it this way with the screw, maybe it gives me, the bolt maybe gives me a little bit of additional place. I could use the more traditional tools. Okay, so I've done that. I've been pretty successful. Okay, now we're going to want to tighten that up. Now I know some people usually put some jelly on here. I don't think you have to. It's a pretty clean part of the car. Now in this case, I actually got my ratchet set in again because I kind of the way I kind of positioned it, it actually works. So you might want to think about that as you're doing it. And it's a very slow process here. Okay, and you're going to want to keep tightening it. Okay, and I think what you're going to always want to do is just to make sure that you've got a proper connection. Now in this case, it certainly isn't going anywhere. So now we could move on to the negative terminal. Remember, I kind of hid the negative terminal here. We're going to take this one out. Oh, protective cover. Get to that. Now what we're going to want to do is put it on. Okay. I'm going to screw it. Okay, now we could actually use a ratchet set. Remember this side, we got a lot of space here. A lot of space. Okay, check that out. It's pretty sturdy. Looks like we are now done. Now, let's, before we actually do anything here, we're going to want to try to start the car and make sure everything works properly. Okay, so let's give it a go. Let's give it a start. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so what we're going to want to do, they say this is very good to do, so you're going to see the power window switches. You're going to want to push them down, holding both at the same time. And hold it there for about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let them go. Now the other thing you're going to want to do is set the, when you turn on the radio, okay, so you're going to see the radio here says code. Now my code is 4530. Shouldn't be telling you this, so don't come trying to steal my Becker radio here. So 4530. And it should just click on automatically. And there we go, radio on. I think we're done here. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching Handy Val. Hope you enjoyed this video and hope you could go ahead and do this yourself. Bye for now.